With the new Netflix TV series landing, the character of Daredevil has never been more in the public eye. Except for maybe in 2003, but who cares about 2003? I mean, what was Dreamcatcher even about? Get out of here, Dreamcatcher. You're bloody ruining my Daredevil video. Anyways, let's take a look at 5 Daredevil stories that I consider pretty spectacular. Bear in mind that this is in no particular order, and a lot of this is also personal preference. Also, I have not read every Daredevil story. So say, for example, you're looking for that issue where he beats Ultron to death with a piece of wood. Yeah, that will not be here. Okay, first up, Daredevil, 2003. Nah, not really. Though it's not that bad. It's the best Daredevil movie they could have possibly made at the time. And yes, I'm aware the director's cut is better. People won't stop banging on about how, yeah, well, the original isn't great, but the extended cut with the Coolio subplot is much better, you see it. I don't care! Does it still include that weird dance fight scene? Oh, it does? Then it can't be that good. But for real, Daredevil, the Man Without Fear, is the perfect jumping off point for the character. It's essentially a retelling of his origin, expanding on people in his world and events that we had seen prior. The TV series actually takes a lot of cues from this, including Matt Murdock's crime-fighting beginnings, kicking off with his black ninja costume, before eventually settling on his trademark red suit. So if you're not too familiar with Foggy Nelson, Stick, Elektra, battling Jack Murdock and the Kingpin, I'd suggest starting here. Moving on! Daredevil Yellow brings together one of my personal favourite creative teams in essentially a retrospective, covering his early days as a lawyer, of his crime fighting, and how he came to fall in love with Karen Page. Yes, it does feature his original costume, which is... you know what, it ain't great, but it's also set in that vague 1960s origin era, so it does make sense. The story may lack some of the grit that's come to embody the character and his world, but it's sad and it's sweet and it's funny and it's well worth your time. Daredevil End of Days is the opposite of Daredevil Yellow. It's just rough. And not really for those unfamiliar with the character. Chronicling the last moments of Daredevil and after, it begins with the apparent death of Matt Murdock at the hands of Bullseye, and then develops into this kind of mystery as to what his last word meant. It also journeys through the loves of Daredevil's life. He had a lot, hinting at multiple children he fathered along the way. And the final reveal is... you know what, it's okay, a little anticlimactic, but it's supposed to be about the journey anyways, isn't it? I don't know. Daredevil and Batman, Eye for an Eye. A perfect story? No, it is not. But when I first read this as a kid, I couldn't believe that Batman and Daredevil had a story together. The characters actually share quite a lot in common. Both are just men trained in the martial arts. Both have tragic backstories, but I guess who doesn't in comics? A thirst for justice, and they also kind of look the same. It also does a good job of subtly highlighting each other's skills, with Batman working out Daredevil is visually impaired by the way he positions his head when he hears something, and Daredevil realizing that Bruce Wayne is Batman by recognizing his steady heartbeat and breathing. Like I said, this isn't perfect by any stretch, but it's a fun little jaunt from 1997. Plus, the showdown with Two-Face and Mr. Hyde ends with them saying the same thing at the same time. It's pretty great, or dumb. It's certainly something. Brian Michael Bendis' run on Daredevil is legendary because it's great. And the weird thing is, when he and artist Alex Maleev left and Ed Brubaker and Michael Lark took over, it remained great. So many now iconic Daredevil moments take place in this run. Matt Murdock dealing with being publicly outed as Daredevil. Him going to jail and just beating up so many people in there. Him declaring himself the new Kingpin. It's so great. Look, it's probably not the best thing to start with, but if you have any grounding in the character, it's a terrific journey with the story really hitting its stride in Volume 2. Of course, the great Daredevil stories don't end here. Kevin Smith's run is also considered classic. Daredevil Redemption, though I haven't read it, is supposed to be terrific. The new series has been received well, and of course, you cannot go past the likes of Born Again. But of course, all this comes down to personal preference. Whatever you think the best Daredevil story is, well then that's the best Daredevil story. Unless you think it's the movie, that is incorrect. You know, because it's got that weird dance fight. Thanks everyone, and if you liked this, maybe you'll like this video on terrible moments in good comic book movies, and this one on the best weapon in the Marvel Universe. Also, I have a podcast that's called The Weekly Planet, courtesy of the terrific comicbookmovie.com. It covers movies and TV shows and comics. Some people like it, I guess. If you're interested, I'll link all of this below and at the end of this video. But I'd love to know, what is your favorite Daredevil story? If you do have one, please feel free to share your thoughts below. Alright, thanks everyone. Take care.